Hello guys, my name is EricVan. Are you ready for some non-canon shit? And welcome back to Shoujo Shojo. So in the last episode we did the true ending. Now in this episode there's 3 other endings we gotta get, and these 3 endings are pretty different from each other, and they're pretty crazy from what I saw. Now when I was getting the true ending I had to get them all, so I just quickly skipped through them and I didn't read what was going on, but I saw a little bit and they look really interesting, and so I want to delve further into them. So I'm not going to be doing the character-specific endings here because there's a lot of like bad character-specific endings that you get, that are bad endings that you get game overs for, but I'm not going to show those. I might show those in another episode, but this might be the last one. It just really depends on if people want to see them or not. But they're nothing that special. It's just like, oh yeah, you had sex with this girl and then you die, right? But there is one in particular that's really interesting. But anyways, let's get the 3 other normal endings to the game. Okay, so the first ending we're gonna get here is there's a decision here where after we go into Katsuragi Shin's office, or Mamiya Shinji's office, we have a choice to work together with Yaginuma or work on my own. So we're just gonna work together with Yaginuma, and this takes us down a whole different path. Got it, let me work with you. I swallow my pride. If there's a chance of saving Toko. Yaginuma nods, triumph clear in his eyes. Yeah, that's just great. Let's work together with him, the person I didn't want to work with. She's finally broken down. In her stubbornness, she coated her flawless skin with white powder. However, crying that she hated it, she clawed at her face with her fingernails. Scars were left behind. Over and over, she covered the scars with powder, then scratched it off again. Oh, we've already read this, actually. She was affected by an illness known as cassophobia, the fear of ugliness. Yeah, she's talking about her mother. This is from... we've already read that. Let's just skip over that. Forget that ever happened, okay? The boy, yeah, it's talking about how the mother, like, was straddling him and having sex with him, and he pushed her off, and she got killed. But we already know that. We've already seen that. And then from here on, it should be different. We rush over to Mamiya Shinzo's residence in Hoya, riding in separate patrol cars. The Mamiya residence sits deep in a stand of trees, located smack dab in the center of a residential area. Looks exactly as it did when I first was here. We'll find something here, no doubt about it. Huffling our footsteps, we approach the front door. I borrow a glove from an officer and gently turn the knob, but to nobody's surprise, the door is locked. Tish. Well, now what? Senpai, stop it, you. We came here because you let us here. Wouldn't it make sense, though? Even if he's gone, he may have left something behind. What? See, Yaginuma just wants us to get in trouble so he can get all the glory. You're not going? God, Yaginuma, you're such a slimeball. You're not going to arrest me for trespassing the moment I bust in there, are you? You're such a slimeball. So that means if I don't find anything, he'll arrest me. Because we're a private investigator, we're not actually on the force, so he can't barge in there, Yaginuma, because if he barges in there, he can't use whatever he finds as evidence. But since we're just a random civilian... Good grief. No complaining afterwards, okay? I step back a few paces, gather up my strength, and ram the door with my shoulder. Plumes of dust curl up from within. The antiquated Western construction is sturdier than I'd anticipated. The door didn't even budge. Oh, Yaginuma, stuff it. Yaginuma sneers at my efforts. With no warning whatsoever, Yaginuma draws out a revolver and discharges it at the door. Whoa! Hey, Yaginuma is kind of badass, so that was cool. Yaginuma indicates the broken knob. This is absurd. I'm not cannon fodder, buddy. Even as I complain, I open the shattered door and take the lead. But now whoever's inside is going to be completely alerted to our presence. On the inside, the place looks positively abandoned. Dust carpets the floor with footprints clearly visible in it. It must have been quite the opulent home once, but all the furniture is faded, all the glass shattered. It's almost tragic in a way. Even the spider webs are clouded with dust. It doesn't look like their residents are in either. Covering my mouth with a handkerchief and trying not to cough, I proceed cautiously inward. The fresh footprints head further inward. If those footprints belong to Mamiya Shinji. Yaginuma mutters, pointing to the inner door. If there are people inside, they would have noticed the gunshot earlier. No, that's a reason to hesitate, because now they're ready for us. May you live a long and healthy life. The room past the door appears to be a library. Mamiya Shinzo isn't in here, and naturally neither is Mamiya Shinji. Yaginuma rests his hand on the seat of the chair. If that's the case, then in the adjoining room. The door leading further inside is slightly ajar, light spills out from within. I move to it before Yaginuma can say anything. There's somebody on the other side. I warn Yaginuma with a hand signal, then quietly open the door. And within it is a world of whiteness. It's almost as though I'm looking at everything from the inside of an eggshell. Oh, yeah, I see what you did there. And over there. Ooh, there we go. Good. I'm glad Mamiya Shinji's dead. A short elderly man stands there. I remember this guy. I met him at the art museum in Ueno. You're Mamiya Shinzo. I shift my gaze to his feet. So obviously, you know, I'm thinking that Mamiya Shinji was alive in here, and in the other ending, he was alive in here, staying here. But what's different is Mamiya Shinzo heard the gunshots and was like, oh, I gotta kill you. I'm sorry. A man, Mamiya Shinji, lies fallen, covered in blood. He's not moving. The fresh splatters of crimson are the only thing disrupting the white brilliance. Did you kill him? Shinzo mutters. Shinzo directs his vision toward the inner wall. There's a giant fresco there. Kara no Shoujo, the painting that captivated Toko so. A while back you commented that this painting was twisted. What did you mean? Including Shinji-san. Yeah, by Misa. Possessed. I look up at the fresco. Mamiya said that this one was the original. I can tell, the impact is completely different from the painting I saw at the museum. This one looks even more like Toko. It's almost as though Toko would step out of it if you scraped away the stucco on the wall. Where's Toko? Good. Oh my god, she's here. She's alive. That's good. Without waiting for him to finish, Yaginuma barks orders to the officers. However, what? Just an ordinary student. At the very least, she's not the person you used as a model for that. She's Saito's daughter. Even so, it's an uncanny resemblance, huh? In your atelier in Shimo Ochiai, there were 4 objects d'art created directly like this painting. Another 4. Oh, I accidentally skipped that, I'm sorry, but she's just saying, made using 4 human corpses. Oops, what am I doing? Shinzo's gaze drops to the ground. Well, there's always seppuku. Wow, Yaginuma like a boss. Yaginuma steps forward. Why? Yeah, I have a feeling that Mamiya Shinzo's not going to tell them about Misa being in the back there. Keeping one eye on the two of them, I examine the fallen Mamiya Shinji. It looks like his carotid artery was severed. The floor around him is wet with blood. There's no doubt he was killed here. But I don't see the murder weapon anywhere. If it's not here, then... Yaginuma, get away from him. He's still got the murder weapon. Yaginuma, on the verge of slapping the cuffs on Mamiya, leaps aside. Shinzo pulls something shiny from the cuff of his sleeve. It's a painting knife, used in oil painting. It's obviously plenty sharp and coated with Shinji's blood. What are you gonna do? Are you gonna kill yourself? Shinzo presses the blade against his own neck. Of course. That's not gonna it's not gonna solve any problems. Just donate your body to charity or something and, like, go work in Africa and help those hungry children. Warm blood pours out. Yaginuma fires off another order. Officers run up to Shinzo and apply pressure to his neck with some towels. But it won't be enough. It probably hasn't occurred to them yet. He's an old man, and with that much blood loss, I don't think he'll last very long. Even so, they still carry Mamiya Shinzo out. After taking a glance at the blood gushing out of him, and then at Shinji's corpse, I leave that white room behind me. Okay, wow. As I exit the library, one of the officers looks up and blanches visibly upon seeing me. Did you find Kuchigi Toko? What happened? Come on, no. What's that mean? Please tell me. Oh, well. I leave the hall, thoughts whirling, and bump into some officers coming down from the second floor. A small knot of them are carrying something. A baby carriage. It's bigger than the ones you usually see. Hey, what is that? The officer falters. I run up the staircase to them and look inside, and there, Toko. Is Toko sleeping quietly as a baby? Like Kara no Shoujo in a black egg. From time to time, her eyebrows move slightly. She's alive. Get her to a hospital, now. And when I lay a hand on the carriage, it hits me. It's too light. It should have been obvious, really. No matter how slight a girl she might be, Toko's body would never fit inside a baby carriage. All 4 of her limbs are gone. And the thing is, all 4 of the limbs are gone. Now, I don't think Mamiya Shinji did not do this, because if he had done it, he wouldn't have been able to, like, patch her up properly, right? So now I imagine the reason for this is there had to be, like, some emergency surgery that happened to Toko in the hospital after the accident, and they had to, like, take off her limbs for some reason, right? So even though, you know, we could have saved her, you know, she still would have been lacking limbs regardless, so. Hi, Natsume. I heard Natsume-san's voice from the entrance. Natsume-san. Natsume-san issues orders. Once the carriage has descended the stairway, she takes a glance inside. What's wrong? Post-operative. They did it at the hospital. So in other words, like I said, no matter what ending we would have got, even if we would have saved her in like a perfect ending or whatever, she still would have lost her limbs. And then she stops. Yes. After saying that, Natsume-san puts her hands into the carriage. That's a sad life, though. She's not gonna have any limbs, like no legs or arms. Okay. There is a guy who lives like that, though, and he lives like a really good life. I forget his name, but I've seen it's like a motivational video. Oh, I forget. Anyways, timidly I accept Toko's body from her. She's disturbingly light, and so tiny it really is almost like I'm holding a baby. Natsume-san accompanies me outside. We climb into a waiting vehicle and speed off to the Kuchi Pathological Research Institute. Toko was immediately rushed to the emergency room upon her return to the hospital. It looks like Natsume-san was correct in her assessment. Even the director offers no comment upon seeing her. Natsume-san flops down onto the sofa beside me. Yeah. I found Suzuriko and Mizuhara Toko's corpses. Toko was kidnapped, Akazaki Nene was killed, and both Mamiya Shinji and Shinzo died. The only person I was able to save was Toko. Though I have no idea what will become of her. But hey, that's still a step up from the true ending when we just have no idea what happened to her. What time is it now? Natsume-san glances at her pocket watch. Yeah, I suppose you're right. Despite my words, I can't bring myself to move. No, I don't have that kind of energy left in me. She pouts slightly. Alright, be careful then. Natsume-san exits from the waiting room. It's dead silent in here. Well, what do I do? Oh, this asshole. Which, of course, because this isn't the true ending, we don't get to the bottom of this case, so Saito's gonna be running free. Yeah, I'm dead tired, though. With an effort, I look up at Saito. I don't want your creepy medicine. I'll pass on those, but I'll gladly borrow one of your rooms, though. I'm tired enough that I'll probably conk out as soon as I lie down. Saito is so weird. He looks like such a normal, happy dude, right? Except those are the ones you gotta be careful about in anime. Thank you. God, like, he seems so nice. He's like, oh, you're so tired. That's so cute of you. Go sleep in the back. Saito, shut up. I know the real you. Giving Saito my thanks, I slowly plod my way up to the second floor. The furthest back, That's pretty close to Toko's room. She's probably still under anesthesia, but let's go and check on her. The lights are off. I quietly peek inside the room from the hallway. Someone's there. That's Kuchigi Chizuru. She's staring at Toko's face while she sleeps, so she hasn't gone home yet either, just as I'm about to call out to her. You should have died. See, Chizuru is just... That's just bad. You should have died. It's so weird. See, I think in this ending, like I said, I saw a little bit of this, so I kind of know what's going on, but I didn't look at it in detail. And, yeah, Chizuru really has some issues. I wake up and for an instant I have no idea where I am, because we get to see Chizuru's true character now. It isn't until Yamanouchi Koharu pokes her head in that I remember. Dr. Yamanouchi, sorry for bothering you. I'll be out in a second. I can't be doing that. Oh, right. Is the director in? I see. Dr. Yamanouchi. Are you acquainted with Kuchigi Chizuru-san? Has she been worried about anything? After turning it over and over in my mind, I decided to start with something fairly innocuous. I can't just tell her flat out what I witnessed last night. Yeah, for instance, whether her daughter would make it through okay. I wonder if she's thought of something. I just thought it was kind of curious. Why would she adopt Toko-san even though she wasn't married? When I looked into Toko's family register, I didn't find any evidence that Chizuru had been married. It is possible for unmarried people to become foster parents, but... And she had a miscarriage because it was incest. And that's why she welcomed Toko as an adoptive child? That still doesn't explain what I saw her do last night. Why would Chizuru throw such words of hatred at Toko? Why go so far as to curse her? Doctor, do you know anything about Toko-san's condition? No, that's not what I meant. I wanted to know about her condition prior to the abduction. See, Murase gets away with what he wanted to get away with too. I mean, he doesn't get the inheritance or anything. Kada's head droops. Oh, never mind. This is after we found out about Nene, isn't it? Okay. And that's the reason why she's in that state now? She's repeating herself. Yeah, I fully intend to. I got my timeline mixed up. This is already after Nene is dead and we've already found out Murase. Let's kill some time outside until Dr. Kuchiki arrives. Without him here, I can't see Toko or ask about her condition. I get a bottle of milk from the cafeteria and gulp it down, then use it as an ashtray while smoking a cigarette. After a while, a silver Mercedes enters the parking lot. He's here. I stub out my cigarette and stand up. Dr. Kuchiki. He spares me only a brief glance before entering the building. I have something I'd like to ask you. I follow along behind him. It's about Toko-san. He finally responds after giving me another glance. You call that a treatment? I heard that your treatment involved keeping her alive by removing all 4 of her limbs. Kujigi's making no effort to hide it. But why? That's true, if it was the only option. He mutters in a low voice. I'm not criticizing you. Weren't there any other ways? Okay, so they had to take blood from the limbs and give it to her body or something? Damn, you guys did a number on her. How is she gonna live normally? That's a really shitty treatment. I hope I never have to do that. But that's just prolonging her life, right? He retorts, the venom in his voice nearly palpable. Did Fumiya-san and Chizuru-san agree to the details of the surgery? If she learns about how Toko is now, I think she'll be even more heartbroken. I knew it. You value your granddaughter unrelated by blood more than you do your own daughter. Kuchiki glowers as he replies. Man, I'm having a hard time reading today. I don't know why. Were you aware that Toko-san was the heiress to the wealthy Nakahata family in Kurashiki? Yeah, I don't think he did that, Reiji. It's just one of many possibilities. Yeah, I mean, these people are pretty loaded. Really? That's news to me. I'm sorry, I didn't realize. I bow my head, duly chastened. I just can't read today. And Nardakuchi leaves for his own office. So Chizuru's refused the inheritance, huh? I want to talk to her and Toko a little. Too many things about the Kuchiki family are still weighing on my mind. Okay, let's go there. Here we go. The train stops at Kichijoji. I cut through the park and arrive in front of the Kuchiki home. After knocking on the door a couple of times, I settle down and wait. Finally. Hey, stop sounding like you're so nice. You're really mean-spirited. Chizuru appears, greeting me in a frail voice. Hello there. May I have a moment of your time? I want to talk about Toko-san. Chizuru inclines her head. Is Fumiya-san here as well? Could you ask him to stay here a bit longer? I have something I want to ask him as well. Chizuru disappears inside the house. After a short while, she returns. Thanks. Pardon the intrusion. She leads me over to a sleepy-looking Fumiya. Hello. Yes, but before that, there's something I'd like to ask you, as well as something else I'd like to discuss. Also, you don't have to call me sensei. I address this last bit as Chizuru as well as she enters the room. I say it in every episode that I can't read, but I just really in this one, I'm not doing a good job. No, I'm actually a detective. I was a temporary instructor at Oba Girls Academy in order to investigate the murders that occurred last month. Fumiya nods, putting the pieces together in his head. I guess I don't mind. Well, that's one misunderstanding cleared up. Now it's time for me to ask some questions. First things first. Chizuru-san, you refused the inheritance that Toko-san was to receive from the Nakahata family, correct? Chizuru looks downward. Why did you do that? It would hardly have been a bad thing for you. It never was my intent to press her into a corner, but Chizuru's already stammering. I saw you at the hospital last night, Chizuru-san. You were there to visit Toko-san, correct? What possessed you to say what you did? Gotcha now. Clearly she sees what I'm getting at. That's right. That's a mean thing to say. You said you should have died. That's horrible. I don't mean to criticize you. I just want to know why. Aw, Chizuru, come on. Just get it out in the open. They're both so similar. They're both so meek compared to their father. Their father's a badass. Their father's awesome. Fumiya leaves as a sister instructed, though he still looks confused and suspicious. Now, could you tell me? Well, I guess first and foremost is that it's just been troubling me. I can't see any reason for you to resent Toko-san, aside from irrational murderous thoughts, perhaps. The matter of the Nakahata family inheritance came to mind, but you had already turned that down, your parent and child, and even though you're not related by blood. Chizuru speaks softly. Jealousy? I've heard that you miscarried and are unable to bear children. Who is the father of the child? I've been curious about this for a while. If my intuition is correct, then perhaps... Chizuru stares at the screen door through which Fumiya had exited. I know that he always wears a glove. Really? So the man who got you pregnant was... Chizuru nodded silently. Well, guys, I think there's a message here, and the message is, don't have sex with your siblings. It's a bad idea, okay? Chizuru stopped talking there, and that's when you got pregnant, correct? Leukemia? Oh, wow, chemotherapy while you're pregnant. Yeah, that's why it was miscarried. Ah, and Dr. Kuchiki never knew the truth behind your pregnancy. Oh, he knows. Chizuru hangs her head, tears drip from her face. And so I became jealous of Toko-san. I told myself that she had stolen my brother Fumiya away from me. And all the puzzle pieces have clicked together. There's nothing I can say to that since relationship advice is out of my league. However, even with all that's happened, you shouldn't wish for Toko-san's death. Yeah, it's a sad story, but it's nothing to wish death on someone for. Come on. Chizuru rests her head on the table. No, Chizuru-san, you must be your mother. You have to support Toko, as a mother would. The voice comes in through the window. Commissioner Yaginuma? I open the window to the veranda, and there's Yaginuma staring at me. Oh, she knows Eriko-san. They know each other. Yeah, so Chizuru knows Eriko-san, which was the one that was raped by the father, I guess. Why are you here? Sparing me just a glance, Yaginuma steps inside the house and faces Chizuru.
Chizuru-san, 本当のあなたはもう15年も経つのにあなたは姉の見舞いに来姉よりもずっとトウコさんの方が回復する見込みが高いんです。
Distraught, she looks at me. It's now or never. Though I may be of little use, please allow me to help you. I bow to her. Burying her face in her hand, she breaks down into sobs. You can be, if your actions are good enough and you try to repent by taking care of Toko. Because that's a life commitment, because Toko has no limbs. You've committed no crime. In forsaking Toko, you are being a traitor to your kin, an action by which you will fall into Kaina. What? Besides, you don't actually resent Toko. It seems that you're troubled by the rift between you two, but things like that can be solved if you just talk it out Kaina. I wonder if that's some sort of Shinto thing. Shall we go see her now? I take her hand and pull her to her feet. Chizuru looks at me through the tears. Don't worry, if you're there for her, she'll listen to what you have to say, I guarantee it. Okay, so off to the hospital. Let's go see Toko. I want to talk to her one last time, you know, while she's alive. Or while she won't. I hate to say that while she's alive, but you know, in the other endings we don't even get to see her, so I just want to talk to her. On that day, Tokyo experienced an unreasonable snowfall. It piled up lightly on top of the cherry trees as they shed their petals. For a brief period of time, the city became a world of white. The snow melted as soon as the sun rose, but for that short time, it delighted the denizens of the city. Fumi is there in front of Toko's room. Hello, how's she doing? I see, that's fantastic. Is Chizuru-san inside? His expression clouds over slightly. She's done nothing wrong. That's why Fumi is always downtrodden, just because he knows he fucked up really bad. I don't think it's anybody's fault. The problems you have can be solved by just talking it through. May I go inside? A gentle ray of sunlight shines through the window. Good morning. I return Chizuru's greeting and look over at the bed. The only bulge in the futon is at the center. The lower half of the bedding is undisturbed. Yeah, as if you had to think about that, Reiji. Okay, we know. Okay, stop rubbing it in. It's amazing how much a person's body mass changes when they're missing their arms and legs. Her complexion looks pretty good. If you focus on her face, it looks like she's just sleeping. In reality, I suppose she might actually be asleep. Chizuru murmurs softly. Well, I don't think she resents you. What you lack is communication. If you'll simply talk about it, then you can easily clear up these misunderstandings. Chizuru stares at Toko's sleeping face. I walk over to the window and took a look outside. New leaves are sprouting from the trees. It's going to get warmer from now on. With all the roads they've paved recently, this summer's probably going to be a scorcher. I doubt there'll be another snowfall after today. Someone speaks behind me. Hi, Toko! I turn to see Toko's head inclined slightly in my direction. Toko. Because he's happy that you're alive. Ah, shut up. I make my way over to the bed and stroke Toko's cheek. I'm sure you could learn to paint with your mouth. People are resourceful. You could put your paintbrush in there and yeah, I could see it. Chizuru softly calls Toko's name. Chizuru breaks it down into sobs. Toko faces me. Tears trickle down Toko's cheeks. Brushing them away with a finger, I whisper to her, "Good morning, Toko." That's gonna be it? And that is the end. So that ending it's happier than the normal ending we got, the true ending, because Toko's still alive, and she's not in some weird location. And you know, I don't even know if Toko's still alive. I imagine she's still alive in the true ending. It's just where she is and what she's done, who even friggin' knows. Well, let's go get another ending. So now, to get the second ending, after the first little bit where it says if we should work with Yaginuma or work on our own, we can head to Kurashiki or search for Toko. We're gonna search for Toko. That's right. Right now I should be thinking about her safety, not her request. There's no doubt Toko was kidnapped by Mamiya Shinji. There are only so many places where he can hide. Mamiya Shinzo's house in the city of Hoya, which I've visited in the past. It's isolated and Shinzo himself might not even live there. It'd be the perfect place for Shinji to hide. If this is the plan, then I have to take action before Yaginuma and the police do. Going all the way to Hoya involves making a transfer at Nakano, and that'll eat up some time. I guess I'll catch a taxi in front of the station. I run off in that direction. Okay, so we're just going up all by herself. She's finally broken down her stubbornness. Yeah, blah blah blah, we know that. Okay, good. Now we're gonna bust into here on our own, just guns a-blazing. I guess fists a-blazing, because we don't have a gun. Okay. I catch a taxi at Nakano Station and rush over to Mamiya Shinji's estate in Hoya. There's no sign of the police. It looks like Yaginuma and company haven't shown up yet. The Mamiya residence sits deep in a stand of trees located smack dab in the center. Yes, I'll find something here, no doubt about it. I move to the front door, muffling my footsteps. I gently turn the knob and the door creaks open. It's unlocked? That's weird. It wasn't locked in ending number 1. There's no time to think about what I'm going to do next. This is completely against the law, but Toko might be inside. I have no choice but to go in. From the inside, the place looks practically abandoned. Dust carpets the floor with footprints clearly visible in it. It must have been quite the opulent home once, but all the furniture is faded, all the glass shattered. It's almost tragic in a way. Even the spider webs are clotted with dust. It doesn't look like their residents are in either. Covering my mouth with a handkerchief and trying not to cough, I proceed cautiously inward. The fresh footprints head further inward. And if those footprints belong to Mamiya Shinji, an inner room, I think we actually... Oh, here we go. Wow. And there is Mamiya Shinzo. Did a little too many drugs. I open the door and peek into what appears to be a library. Someone is reclining in a chair. It's not Mamiya Shinji. It's someone much older. Mamiya Shinzo. The old man isn't moving. I enter the room and close the door. Approaching him carefully, I take a glance at his face. This guy is... It's the old man I met a couple of weeks ago at the art museum in Ueno. He was Mamiya Shinzo, but it looks like he's dead. His eyes are wide open and his face is tinged red. Doesn't look like he's been gone for long. There's a bottle of pills lying on the table and a glass on the floor. Suicide. The thought escapes my lips as I read the brown bottle. Potassium cyanide. I stare at Mamiya Shinzo's corpse. No sign of foul play from what I can see. But to take potassium cyanide means he'd planned his death. The faint color of livor mortis indicates death by potassium cyanide poisoning. But why? There's something stuck under the corpse. A white envelope, possibly a letter. Taking a handkerchief from my pocket so that I don't get my own prints all over it, I carefully pull it out. There's a faint yet distinctive odor of almonds emanating from the dead man's mouth. With a grimace, I pull out the letter. It's addressed to Shinji-kun. The handwriting is an exact match with the letters I discovered in Shinji's office at Nakano, the one he rented under the name of Katsuragi Shin. Which means Mamiya Shinzo wrote this as well. The contents of the letter don't differ greatly from the ones at Shinji's office. More apologizing to Mamiya Shinji. But why did he feel this much guilt over something, and then take his own life? There's no way to get that out of Shinzo now. I'm sure Shinji knows that Shinzo decided to kill himself. But we already know why, because we saw it in the ending previously. If he had come over here, he'd know. And in the other endings. No, maybe it's the other way around. Shinzo killed himself because his son had come here. That's why he left his final letter like a last will and testament. There's a definite possibility. However, I turn my glance away from Mamiya Shinzo for a moment and look around the room. There's a door leading inward and it's slightly ajar. Light spills out from within. It can't be. Is he here? I don't have anything on me that could serve as a weapon. And if Mamiya Shinji is inside that room, I have no choice but to prepare myself for the worst. I take a deep breath, slam into the door, and burst into the next room. Take anything. Take a book. You can just start smacking Mamiya Shinji in the head with a book. It'd work. And within, it is a world of whiteness. It's almost as though I'm looking at everything from the inside of an eggshell. Everything inside the room is smooth. Everything that is except for the inner wall. This is a fresco. The entire wall's been painted with a huge fresco. And not just any image either. Shoujo Shojo, Mamiya Shinzo's most highly esteemed work, the painting that Toko was entranced by in the museum. This is probably the real thing, the original. It has another kind of presence entirely. It's almost as if the girl in the shell is going to leap out at this very moment. It radiates a kind of madness. Madness, most certainly so. Because beneath the fresco is Toko! Oh my god! Toko! Toko was there as if ripped from the painting, a girl in a shell. Her upper body hangs out from within the large shell of an egg. Her white naked body is abnormally pale, paler than ever before. Her drooping eyelashes and long hair are the only traces of black remaining. Toko. Slowly I approach. I want to run. I want to run to her side and see that she's okay. But my feet won't move. The reality of what rests inside that white shell comes crashing down upon me. As I come nearer, I can better see the state she is in. Both Toko's arms have been cut off. He did that in order to make this? It's clear now. The other limbless corpses that Mamiya Shinji created were just practice runs for this final masterpiece. That's right. By placing Toko inside a shell, Mamiya Shinji has completed Shoujo Shojo. Toko's eyes are closed. She's smiling. Her lips are white without any trace of red, and they're slightly parted. Is she alive? Toko! I move my feet as though snapping out of a trance. I run to Toko as I'm about to touch her. I notice. I had thought that her legs were there inside the shell. They aren't. I had the feeling, though. The 4 girls who were killed had their limbs torn off. It's not surprising that she would end up in the same state. Her eyelids are slightly open. I peer into her face. Toko is smiling. She's looking at me. Toko, it's me. Do you understand? Did her eyes just move? It's not a word. Just an exhalation of air from her lungs, probably. Toko. I gently touch her face. She smiles happily. And then... I hear her say it. Toko smiles and then slowly closes her eyes. It was a while before Yaginuma and the folks from the MPD arrived on the scene. Springing into action, they quickly finished the analysis of Mamiya Shinzo and Toko's corpses. Oh, that's really sad, actually, because we see her one last time. She says thank you, and then she just dies. As we watch her die, Toko was carried out from within the shell. In death, Kara no Shoujo had reverted to Kuchiki Toko, and she seems so tiny now. Oh, wow. As I'm sitting slouched on the floor, Yaginuma approaches me with the news. I see. So he completed Kara no Shoujo and then died. Well, it's not all over because we didn't learn about Saito. Yeah. Is he trying to console me? But for it all to be over. There were so many victims, too many, and now... Nah, I'll be fine. I'll walk home from here. I wave him off and leave the Mamiya estate. The world outside is already shrouded in darkness. That white room was far too bright. I can't see anything. I walk along the thin path. When I get to the main road, Uozumi is standing over to one side. Get in. Uozumi points to the car. I can walk home. He grabs me by the neck and practically stuffs me into the vehicle. Where are we going? Without another word, Uozumi starts up the car. We drive through the streets. Neither one of us speaks. The odor of our cigarettes fills the car. I have no idea where we're going. Uozumi's hands tighten on the steering wheel. She received treatment only to keep her alive for a short time, so does that mean that in the first ending we got, she wasn't going to be alive very long anyways? And despite that, she stayed alive. We arrive at Inokashira Park. Yeah. We walk together to the bank of the pond. At the beginning of the last month, I met a girl here, and now she's crumbled away and disappeared, just as her name suggested. I never did find it, did I? The real her, the real Toko. It seemed like whenever I turned around, she was always there. I'll never hear that soft voice that chimes like a bell again. Damn it, Yukiko, Toko. Why did they have to go so soon? But I have to live on. Just like when Yukiko passed away. Even with Toko gone, I have to live on. Well, that ending is certainly more depressing than the first one we just got. God damn it, let's go see about this third ending then. So on the third ending, everything goes normal towards the path to the fourth ending. Now the fourth ending is the normal ending that I got during the Let's Play. And so this third ending is everything's going normal, but we get these extra scenes on the way there. So I'm going to show you these extra scenes that shows it from Mamiya Shinji's perspective. And then when things start becoming new in the actual gameplay, I'll show you that. So, pushing a large baby carriage, I keep to the narrow alleyways. As I head westward, I can't stand out now. I finally found her. I'm not going to give her up to anybody. I have nowhere to return to, but I have to do something, because at last I found my mother. I step into a grove of trees in the middle of a newly developed residential area. I don't mind if my clothes get wet with the night dew. This was my playground when I was younger. I remember that there's something here somewhere. Hunched close over the baby carriage in the darkness, I arrive at a wooden shack. There's a kiln used for firing ceramics in here. It's not in use right now. It's a perfect place for me to hide. I pick up my mother from inside the carriage. Her eyes are closed. I suppose she's sleeping. She's quite small. I laugh, savoring the look of the limbless body. I pick up some clay that's been piled up next to the wall, covered with a mat, and start to knead it. First off, I have to make a shell with this. Because my mother is Kara no Shoujo, I must put her inside a shell. If I don't, she won't smile for me. That's because the person sleeping inside the baby carriage is not yet my mother. Not yet, but as soon as she's in the shell, she's gonna be your mom that's sick. Okay, here's another one of these scenes. I finish the shell. I take my mother's body out from the baby carriage and affix her inside it. I'm sure she'll smile at me for doing this, but she doesn't even offer the faintest glimmer. Why won't mother smile for me? The clay shell with the body inside is unmistakably the Kara no Shoujo I see in my memories. But then why? I don't understand. I grab her shoulders and shake her. She's surprisingly cold to the touch. I lift her from the shell and hug her naked body. I don't even feel a heartbeat. But that's perfectly natural, at least to me it is. So Toko's already dead then. That sucks. This isn't gonna be a happy ending. The only happy ending is ending 1, which isn't even a canon ending. Okay, here we go. She won't smile. He hugs her over and over, calling out to her all the while, but before long... He crawls around the shack searching. There's a kiln that his father used to make ceramics. It's going to be around here. He's found it. His father must not have been satisfied with the result. The black pot is cleanly broken. It's the perfect size, almost as though it was made just for this purpose. Next, he draws out a hatchet used for splitting wood. It's covered with rust, but he's used to using it for amputations. He places the blade against the neck of his mother, sleeping on the ground. Oh my god, he just cut off Toko's head. Even though she was already dead, but he just cut off her head. That's... oh no. The torture of Toko, seriously. Come on. So he's gonna try to do the same thing that, whatever his face was. Why do I always forget his name? God, Kusaka. He's gonna do the same thing that Kusaka did and try to find, like, a new body for the head of Toko, or his mother. Yukari... oh, wait, we don't need to see this. This is just stuff we've already seen. I killed someone. It happened while I was holding my mother and walking down the street. A woman called out to me. When I told her I was looking for somewhere to stay, she brought me to her house. I had some warm miso soup and rice. Since my mother said she didn't want any, I ate all of it by myself. The woman stared at my mother curiously. She told me with an air of self-derision that she was a fortune teller that couldn't get her own fortunes right. That piqued my curiosity, so I had her tell mine. The result, pretty good. She said that I'd have a bright future. Amusing. That was obvious to begin with. I'm together with my mother, after all. While I was sleeping in the futon I had borrowed from her, she came and laid on top of me. Just like that woman used to. After it was all over, I took a knife from the kitchen and cut off her right arm. After stabbing the writhing woman in the neck, I carefully wrapped the arm in a towel and placed it in a neatly folded bag. I'm pretty sure I'm in the city of Takasaki right now. I can see the mountains off to the north. I show them to my mother. Okay, so I think from here on out, this is all going to be new stuff, so I'm going to show you this. We finally arrived. We're at the shore of the lake you get to after crossing the river and climbing the mountain. I lift up the black egg and show my mother the church. I wonder if my mother remembers. The inside of the church is silent. There's not a soul around. I don't see the sister either, even though she's always around. I call out her name as I walk about the interior of the chapel, but she's nowhere to be found. She's the only person I respect. I borrowed her name to use as my pen name. Oh well, if she's not around, I approach a bench along the wall and lift up the seat. In the past, I used this place to store things. I often hid fruit and bread inside. It's empty right now. I gently lay my mother's right arm inside and close the lid. I speak to my mother inside the egg. If I go down the mountain a bit, there's that town with hot springs, Ikaho. There should be plenty of people there. I'm sure I'll find something suitable there. This is kind of fun. That's so creepy. This is kind of fun. I'm collecting limbs for my mom. I return from the town carrying my mother in a large bag.
今度の腕はとても綺麗だったよ。なんでも神主の娘だったそうだよ。
I climbed the hill, chatting with mother all the way.
きっと母さんに似合うぴったりの腕だと思うんだ。どうせなら右腕も持ってくればよかった。でもダメなんだ。一人からは一つだけと決めているからね。たくさん持ってきてしまったら彼女たちが罰を。
So you have to make sure the other girls have limbs so that you can torture them enough. That's so weird. Mother seems pleased. The laughter I hear coming from inside the shell sounds like a ringing
そう
bell.
いえばここで昔はよく一緒に絵を描いていたね。
I turned to look at the lake
君は
shore.
まだ絵を描いているのかい？
There was no reply from inside the
眠っ
shell.
てしまったんだね。
I gently stroked the shell's
母さんの
surface.
腕を置いたらすぐ寝床を作るからね。今日も一緒だよ、母さん。
I entered the church and approached the bench. Lifting up the seat, I
な
freeze.
い。
Mother's right arm has suddenly vanished.
あれ？どうして母さんの腕がどこかへ。
しんちゃん。
That's not my mother's voice, but it's the voice of someone very important to me, nearly as important as my mother.
先生。
I spin around.
なんてこと。
The sister's head is bowed. When I see the man standing behind her, I can't contain a gasp.
なんでお前がいるんだよ。
Oh, it's Reiji! It's that annoying detective who was chasing me. Now it's time to flip perspectives. Yeah, let's flip perspectives again. I confront the man before us, Mamiya Shinji. It's been a while, Katsuragi-san. Oh, pardon me, Mamiya Shinji-san. It's probably better if I called you that, right?
どうしているんだよ。
Shinji's voice is dangerously low. The day you vanished, the police searched the office you had rented under the name Katsuragi Shin. During that search, I found a clue, one that told me that you would come here. I show him the picture postcard I found that day. I had no idea what the picture was when I found it, but now I do. This is like Haruna, correct? Such a pretty scene.
だからなぜここにいるのか聞いてるんだ。
In his anger, Shinji lets the bag he's holding fall to the floor.
なんと罪深い。
Yeah, to get this ending, when we're investigating Katsuragi Shin's office, there's a picture that we had found, or we didn't find the first time through, because if you find it, it leads you to this ending, not the actual normal ending. When she sees what it contains, Motoko makes the sign of the cross. A second victim, huh? I can't get a good look from here, but it's probably a left arm. The right arm I've got next to me belongs to a different victim.
それ返せよ。それは母さんの。
His right arm belongs to a dead fortune teller who was found in the city of Takasaki yesterday, correct? At the very least, we know it doesn't belong to your mother.
そんなことはない。それは僕が見つけてきたんだから。僕が母さんのために集めたんだ。
It's really interesting to see this, because we get to see Mamiya Shinji as he's like crazy and psychotic, right? I mean, this isn't the real ending, by the way, but in the other endings, we don't get to see a psychotic Shinji doing things, right? Shinji totters forward a few steps. Please step back, Sister Katsuragi. If things go south, I don't want her caught in the middle.
返せよ。僕の母さんの腕。
Trying to reenact the egg of Nianis? Even if you do that, it won't bring your mother back. Misa-san and Miyuki-san have already been cremated.
うるさい。母さんはここにいるじゃないか。この卵の中に入れて連れてきたんだ。
Awkwardly, Shinji thrusts out the black egg he's been carrying in the crook of his arm. An urn, darkened with charcoal. If he's been using his story as a guide, then inside is. Why don't you hand that over to me? Your mother isn't in there, it's Toko.
トウコ。ああ、そんな名前だったね。よく遊んだよ。僕は絵を教えたんだ。
It's weird, because yeah, he taught her how to be an artist, right? Shinji presses his cheek against the egg, murmuring to whatever's inside. That's right, you played here along with Toko. You played here together with Toko when you were younger, so why would you put her into something like that?
何を言っているんだい。この中にいるのは母さんに決まっているじゃないか。
He sounds like it should be obvious. The mother he sees in his head is neither Miyuki nor his birth mother Mio. It's Misa, or more accurately, it's the thing that became Kara no Shoujo. Misa's existence is overlapped with Toko's. It's even supplanted his memories of Toko as a young girl. The contents of the egg have become mixed together. They cannot be restored to their original form. You think that's her real mother inside of there?
当然だろう。僕が自らこの中へ入れたんだ。母さんはいつも僕
But
に
according to
笑い
your
かけてく
story,
れ
all
るん
that's
だ
inside of the
よ。
egg is a thick red fluid, right? Shinji gasps. In the end, she could not find her mother's head, and so the girls set off once again on a journey to find her mother. That's the plot, correct? You think your mother's really going to smile if you just keep butchering people over and over?
うるさい。うるさい。うるさい。この中には。
Shinji raises the urn high. Black fragments skitter across the chapel floor. Oh, I don't even want to see that. That's just... that's Toko's head. Oh, that's horrible. Ugh. A head with black hair rolls out. Toko.
ほら、見てごらんよ。母さんは笑っている。僕を見て笑ってくれているじゃないか。
Don't touch her. So I wonder if in the true ending, Toko was actually dead and he like cut off her head. That's a possibility. I scream at Shinji as he reaches for her head. You have no right to touch her.
でも、僕は
もういいでしょ、しんちゃん。
Motoko slips by me and steps forward.
あなたは取り返しのつかないことをしてしまいました。悪いことをしたとき、どうすればいいのかは
Her
教え
words are
て。
gentle, but she regards him with sadness in her eyes.
でも僕は母さんを。
しんちゃんのお母さんではありませんよ。あなたとよく遊んでいたトウコさんではありませんか。
トウコ？
ええ、そうです。ほら、この写真に写っている。
She shows Shinji a photograph. I squat down beside the shattered egg. Toko's head lies in the center of the broken fragments. I pick out the bits that have tangled in her hair, then gently lift her head up. I don't know how long has passed since this was done to her, but Toko's got a peaceful expression, almost as though she's smiling. Almost as though she's sleeping and having a great dream. Toko, I'm sorry. I know that no matter how much I apologize, it'll never be enough, but... I turn around, Toko's head still in my arms. Shinji cowers at the nun's feet, the photo clenched in both hands. He's probably realized it now. Sure. Are you going to lock him in? Could I ask you to bury her here? I don't know if that's something for me to decide, but... This game is stressful for my soul. The room is so small and cramped that it might as well be a storeroom. Shinji sits down on the floor and looks at the sky through the small window near the ceiling. His thoughts are primarily concerned with the girl he played with a long time ago, the one whose head he cut off with his own hands. She used to be such a crybaby. It was because she'd lost her mother. Somehow, even though he himself had arrived only recently, Shinji found himself taking care of her. It was bewildering. He'd never been with a child that age before. He wasn't sure he could do anything. Shinji was also a child. There were times when they both cried together. That was when it came to him. She was lonely, and he was lonely as well. He made her hold a branch in her hand. He really wished it had been a pencil instead, but since Toko was getting bombed, and there were shortages of everything, there was no way for them to get such things. Oh, Tokyo was getting bombed. I read that as Toko. I was like, since Toko was getting bombed. I just imagine, like, missiles going towards Toko. She's like, I'm getting bombed. Oh my god, okay, anyways. He taught her how to draw on the ground with a branch. Her enthusiasm blossomed, and drawing there became a pastime of hers. She drew the mountains on the opposite shore of the lake, the people walking by, the budding flowers. Since it was drawn by a young girl, most of her art was incomprehensible, but she appeared to enjoy herself despite that. She began to smile again, so did the others at the orphanage. It happened when he broke the black egg. She had smiled with his mother's face. But no, she was not his mother. It was the face of Misa, transformed into Shoujo Shojo, the sculpture that drove Shinji to run away from home. Toko was young. That's why he hadn't realized she was Misa's daughter. No, perhaps he started taking care of her because he sensed something in her looks. Shinji met the mature Toko on the train on the night of April 8th. She didn't notice him. She probably didn't even remember him. After all, it was long ago, back when she was just a little child. Shinji didn't realize it at first either, that the girl sitting before his very eyes was the girl from back then. He just saw her as Shoujo. There's a soft noise. Shinji looks over at the door, but doesn't look like anyone's going to come in. Timidly, he approaches it. There's an aluminum tray with food on it set down by the door. He looks around, but there's nobody there. He's starving, but he doesn't feel like eating. Shinji works his way over to the center of the chapel and takes another look around. Nobody's here. Oh, don't tell me he's gonna escape. Please, no. He wanders outside. It's already evening. Soon it'll be getting dark. I know, let's go see the lake. If I go down the hill, I'll be right there. Toko would often trip and cry while frolicking down the hill. He would carry her back to the church and treat her scrapes. The evening sun's reflection shimmers on the surface of the lake. Shinji picks his way down the sloping bank and puts his foot on the surface of the water. They used to play here too. Toko couldn't swim, so all she could do was get near the water. Shinji would splash water on her and make her cry. Despite that, she would soon be tagging along behind Shinji again. Shinji addresses the open sky. Shinji stands up. He brings out the wrinkled photograph from his jacket pocket. It's the one Motoko gave him earlier. He sets it by the water's edge and weighs it down. Oh, so that's a picture of Toko and Shinji when they're young. Ah, Shinji, why did you have to go crazy? You seemed like you were a decent human being at one point. Shinji starts walking. His knees get wet, then his thighs, then his buttocks, then his hips. Even though it's April, the cold mountain water robs Shinji of his senses. But there's one thing he can see clearly. Splash. Ripples spread across the surface of the lake and Shinji's figure vanishes. Okay, so he just ends up killing himself. And that's the end. So Shinji's like, I'm gonna commit suicide, go visit my mother, but before that I'm just gonna cause havoc and mayhem and kill a bunch of other people who don't deserve to die. Good job, Shinji, you dumbass. Okay, and I'm wondering, maybe there's gonna be something after the scene. After the ending. God, okay, anyways, so those are 3 endings. We got, they're considered normal ending 1, normal ending 2, normal ending 3. Although the true end is the canon one, which we don't run into Shinji or Toko at all, but we solve the murder of our wife Yukiko from the past. Now, I might do some of the character-specific endings, because, I mean, some of them are a little crazy, like the one with Toko, not Kuchiki Toko, but Mizuhara Toko, is really crazy. It's, like, really nuts. So I might do it, but at the same time, I might be done with this game, I'm not sure. I mean, if you guys really want to see it, I might do it, but it seems like it'd be a lot of work. I do have save files, like, right before all those endings, so I could record them pretty easily, but, you know, I'm not too sure how much steam is left in this playthrough, right? I think it's just time to end it. But I really hope you enjoyed. I'm really sorry, for some reason today, like, I might be tired or something, but my mind just wasn't working as well as it normally does, because I wasn't reading very well. I was, like, stuttering a lot, and I'm really sorry about that. I don't know what got into me today. I'm not feeling that good, I guess. So yeah, I'll see you in future videos on the channel, guys. I really appreciate all the support for this playthrough. It's been a wild experience. I didn't think this playthrough would garner as much support as it did. When I first started, I was worried. I was like, I don't think many people are going to watch this, but whatever, I'm going to try it out, right? Just as something new and experimental. But a lot of people watched it, and a lot of people really liked it. And there were people that were, you guys were super addicted to it. There's always like, new Kara no Shoujo, come on, I got to find out what happens next. And it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed doing it. And because of that, I'll be doing some more visual novels in the future. I think the next one, I might take a small break, you know, maybe for 2 weeks, just not touch a visual novel. And maybe when I do start up again, I'll go to Cartogra, which happens before this game. And it's based on how Shugo and Kazuna meet together, and Hatsune as well is going to be in it. And it's about his life as a private investigator, you know, before this game takes place. And I'm pretty sure I should play it, because when Kara no Shoujo 2 comes out, there's probably going to be linkages to Cartogra and to Kara no Shoujo. So it'll be useful to have some information about that. But anyways, like I said, I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in future videos on the channel. As always, guys, peace.